Hello, I'm Rob Cartmel from ProTrust Consulting, and this is a short video just to explain our firm, ProTrust Consulting, and the three main areas of work that we undertake. So over the next 10 to 15 minutes, I'll just take you through those areas and a quick summary of what we undertake for our clients. So let me share my little screen, and this is our firm. ProTrust Consulting. We have three elements of work that we specialise in: estate planning, estate administration, and trust administration. There are our websites. We have a primary website that is the hub of all of them. So that is called ProTrust Consulting, and hopefully you might be able to see that here. And we have three elements that come off it with their own individual sites, those being estate planning, the range of services and other information on our site. And then we have estate administration, here, which deals with the managing of estates and probate. And finally, we have managing trusts, trust management, with its own site, with its own area of work and services. So those are our websites, and just dealing with each one in turn briefly. What is estate planning? A lot of people will hear the term wills or lasting powers of attorney. What is estate planning? Why do we deal with estate planning as an entity rather than, say, just wills? There's a whole range of services that comprise estate planning. I've listed some of them here. Let's just have a quick look through those. Wills, particularly trusts, putting in protection to ensure successive inheritances. So a husband wishing to pass his estate to his wife and then his children, and to protect it so that outside influences do not encroach under those wishes. Lasting powers of attorney, an important part of what we do, alongside inheritance tax planning, and for people who are keen to ensure their estate passes to their children, it's important that we also advise about the impact of care fees and how that can be mitigated and planned for. A big part of what we do is helping vulnerable beneficiaries. It's hard to say that a beneficiary will be vulnerable in future, but of course, anything can happen that does attack assets that pass to beneficiaries. So we look at protecting beneficiaries as a whole, and that particularly helps organise assets well for vulnerable beneficiaries, people who can't look after assets themselves effectively or who are on state benefits, etc. So we also advise about structures for making lifetime gifts to children. I mean, it's a big factor these days of parents deciding to help children on the property ladder, pass funds to them to assist them in these difficult times, whilst also helping the parents with their own inheritance tax planning and reducing their estates. Alongside this, we need to have really good relationships with financial advisors, and we hopefully do provide a lot of help to them in providing a summary of assets and an inheritance tax calculation for our clients as part of our estate planning work. So financial advice regarding investments and pensions and life cover, these are all things we can organise for you through a financial advisor. And likewise, just as part of our estate planning arrangements, looking after the ownership of property and making you, the client, understand, our clients understand how property is owned. So joint ownership might mean that if one spouse, say, dies first, their share passes through their will, or the alternative joint ownership, joint tenants, might imply that if one spouse died, their share doesn't pass through their will. Instead, it will pass automatically to the surviving spouse. So these are really important little factors in estate planning. I have omitted there other factors that are really important with estate planning. Businesses, if you own your own business, how you might pass efficiently your shares to your spouse and children, the impact of those shares on inheritance tax. If you plan to sell your company or business, then that will take it out of a business relief environment into a normal environment, so that it might impact on inheritance tax. So these are all things that we ought to look at for you when undertaking estate planning. Moving on quickly, because this is only a 15-minute sort of brief on this, estate administration is another main area of our work. So you might just think of probate as being a topic, but we deal with the whole process of estate administration as to how wills and intestacy are managed. So a summary here of the duties that are involved in advising executors. So they are usually our clients. They are the people who have the responsibility to administer a will or estate. A particular factor of ProTrust is dealing with trust work. So many matters where we're dealing with estates involve will trusts. A lot of people will need advice on the process, how the estate then is administered into the trust, and then how is the trust managed from there. And that's where our trust management side of things comes in. So we help executors with preparing probate, and we can assist with that process. And a major part is then advising on inheritance tax and helping executors complete the forms and submitting accounts to HMRC, advising as to inheritance tax liability, responsibility, and all the reliefs that are available for inheritance tax. As part of estate administration, it's important, of course, to have a set of accounts that show the assets received, the liabilities paid, the income accrued, the responsibilities then for settling any legacies and payments, and then distributing to the ultimate beneficiaries, the residuary beneficiaries. So the accounts are kind of a working document with us. We set them up at the start. We involve all the executors as they so choose, with having updates on the process of the monies collected, received, paid out. And of course, then we can assist and work with the executors as to how they wish to collect in assets, have them transferred to beneficiaries or sold, property sales or transfer. So we advise through that process. We then instruct our conveyancing solicitor agents to help with any of the conveyancing process there. So that's a brief summary of some of the aspects of estate administration. And then leading on from that is a really important area that many people do not realize is important, is managing trusts. And as ProTrust, we deal with a large volume of trust work with our wills and other trust settlements. So what is trust management? Trust management involves advising trustees. So whereas a will and an estate has executors, with a trust, you have trustees, the people in charge of the trust and responsible for the operations of the trust. The first most important topic these days is there is a trust registration service requirement, a requirement to register all active trusts with HMRC's trust registration service. So that is a process that needs to be understood. The trust then needs to be understood. A lot of trusts may have been already dormant and no activity as such passing through the trust, but they are still active and need to be registered. Next, providing advice on options for distribution of trust funds to beneficiaries. And that's a really key element. The purpose of the trust is to protect the value for its beneficiaries and to pass it to its beneficiaries in the most efficient and effective way possible for them. So the next little slide here, entry here is saying about loans. Loans can be really effective uses of trusts. So part of our job is to explain the concept of lending assets to beneficiaries and the consequences of that. Alongside estate administration, which needs estate accounts, a trust should have accounts, even if they're very basic. They could be even on just a single spreadsheet, showing the assets in the trust, any income and outgoings paid over the last year. Often they're linked to the tax year, and they help all parties, the trustees and beneficiaries, if they are involved in the trust management, monitor the progress of the trust, see how it's performing. If there are investments, how are they performing? How does the trust stand compared to when it commenced its life? And there are a couple of other things that are really important for trustees that they often don't know about. Under the Trustee Act, there's a general duty to have a policy, a statement saying what the intentions are for the investment of any monies, or if they're loaned out to a beneficiary, why that is the case. So there's a policy statement that we prepare as pretty much our standard service to help trustees discharge their obligations there. And another important area, massive area with trust, is helping to provide efficiently and effectively funds for vulnerable beneficiaries. What is the best way? Do we advance by income? Is there drip feeding of capital? Are there loans of money? Are there gifts of money? And how is it best protected for vulnerable beneficiaries? And so advice on that element is really important, and it's a key part of our service. And alongside this is why trust management is part of our firm. It links very much with the beneficiary's own estate planning. So a trust that they are a beneficiary of or a potential beneficiary of will have an impact on their own needs and requirements for their own wills and their own inheritance tax planning. So it very much all links into one concept. So that is a really brief summary of the three elements that we conduct. And I look forward to seeing you and taking you through some more information on other videos. Thank you very much.